What's up, everybody? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys, I'm coming live to you tonight. And if you catch it on the replay, no concern, guys, no worries. But I'm coming live to you guys tonight to talk about an issue that Charles Smith brought up. If I'm going to be quite frank and I'm going to be quite honest about it, guys, Charles Smith brought this issue up to me. I want to say he brought this issue up, guys, probably 3 weeks ago, maybe longer. Okay. And what he really wanted to know was this issue with Malcolm Jenkins. And here's the crazy thing, guys. It got really difficult to talk about the issue because it requires a lot of film study. And, it requires a lot of different like insight and like you have to really weigh things and you have to look at the cap space. You have to look at the players at it. It was a really difficult question to ask. So what this is, guys, is part one of a series I'm going to run for God knows how many next days. So basically what I'm going to be doing, guys, is today I'm going to do a live for you guys where I'm going to kind of just bring this all up. What's up, Y Sway, Troy Singleton? What's good, man? Fly Eagles Fly. What's going on, guys? What I want to do today, guys, is I want to start the conversation. Okay, Charles Smith brought it up. I meant to release this about a week and a half or so ago, about 2 weeks ago, guys. Unfortunately, I thought it would be in bad taste and bad timing with everything going on with the different protest movements to then launch this kind of thing out there, criticizing Malcolm Jenkins possibly for his play and things like that. So I decided to kind of let this slide out and then we can rediscuss it when we all have, not so emotionally attached to the situations going on. Because let's be honest, Malcolm Jenkins is still part of the Philadelphia community and is still playing a pretty pivotal role within that community. So I thought it would be an ill taste to do it a couple weeks ago. But nonetheless, this conversation isn't really just about Malcolm Jenkins. This conversation, which today is going to be part one, is going to be about the secondary as a whole. I'm going to be breaking down a lot of film for you guys over the next, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 days, guys, when it comes to the secondary. And I got to tell you, I've watched about 10 games so far that I've really broken down the film on from last year. It was bad. It was bad in multiple directions. And I'm going to get into that tonight in this live. I'm going to tell you about an assortment of things that I noticed on film, guys. None of it was pretty. All of it was pretty ugly. And the things I'm going to focus on for these topics over the next 7 to 10 days are this. All right. I'm going to talk about play calling and miscommunication. That's going to be the first thing I come up on in a film study to break down and show you guys the bad play calling and then the absolute breakdowns in communication in the secondary last season. It happened in multiple games. It was quite ridiculous to watch it. What's up, Jalen Williams? Merry Christmas. That's funny, bro. It's a big conversation piece here that we have to kind of cover, unfortunately. The second thing I'll cover after that is I want to talk about Ronald Darby versus Sidney Jones and what we can expect. I'm going to use the film from last year. I'm going to get into the in particulars of each of those players. The third thing I'll discuss on this entire situation simply is going to be the additions of Slay, Robey-Coleman, Will Parks, K'Von Wallace, and then Trevor Williams. If you guys want me to talk about that, I can talk about Trevor Williams as well. Because I can't talk about the totality of the situation without Malcolm Jenkins, without talking about the additions we made. Then the last part, as you might have guessed, will be the larger question at hand, which will be the question of Malcolm Jenkins. So that's what's going to go on. Jalen Williams, what's going on, buddy? Big Moose, how you doing, buddy? That's what we're going to be talking about, for me at least, over the next probably 7 to 10 days. I might take a day here and there just to cover other topics, but that's going to be the majority of the content. Something I've been working on, like I said, now for almost a month. I've been breaking down, like I said, I've gone over film on 10 separate games. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of notes I have on these freaking games, guys. It's quite ridiculous. Front and back amount of notes I have going right now on all of this. Let's just start the conversation, guys, and I'll spin off and let you guys ask some questions about it all. Let me just list the assortment of things that I've seen on film that you guys are going to see on my film breakdowns coming up in the next week or two. It's going to definitely be this week, but it might also extend into next week. Guys, the first thing I'm going to tell you straightforward is we had really bad called coverage versus really, really good called route concepts. Basically put, no sugarcoating it, the defensive play calling was not always the best. We really lined up in the wrong coverage scheme. I'm going to give you an example I just saw happen entirely too much. The middle of the field left abandoned and wide open, whether it was through a miscommunication or whether it was through like zero coverage or whether it was through teams just really scheming us and running a player in front of the face of our safety, getting that safety to bite, and then attacking the middle of the field. We absolutely had a problem of leaving the middle of the field open way too often last season. It's the reason why we kept getting beat for 20-yard plays. And that's what the other part of this conversation I want to get into before I list the rest of the assortment of things I'm going to get into over the next 2 weeks. I want to talk about how I studied this issue because obviously it's kind of hard to sit there and watch, film in 10 games on every single play. So what I did is, honestly, I sorted it by basically passing yardage of 15 yards or more. Okay. And then even when I went into the 15 yards, I saw they count for screens and stuff like that. So that's the way I basically studied this issue. I looked at plays that were over 15 yards. I was really focusing on those 20-yard plus plays and then seeing what the heck happened in the secondary. Why were these plays occurring? That's how I studied this stuff you guys are going to see. And I promise you guys, it's going to be laid out for you. I'm going to call everything out for you. I'm not going to hold any punches back. No matter how I feel about the player, I promise you, I will be 100% accountable to you guys. I'm going to call it out so you guys can see it. I'm going to let you know exactly what's going on. I'm going to let you know exactly what I think about the coaches and their play calling. I'm going to let you know exactly what I think about the technique the players used because there was a lot of issues with technique too. I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I don't understand. I don't understand how our secondary coach, I don't understand how he kept his job for so long. And it even shocks me even more that now he's the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Good luck with that. Because I'm telling you, he did not coach our guys very well last year. And I know there are mitigating circumstances. We had issues with injuries and stuff too. But we still had a lot of talent last year to have some of the issues we had happen. Really bad call plays to where, on miscommunications to where guys aren't communicating, not switching off on receivers like they're supposed to when there's, when a team throws a curveball at them and they think that, they're going to have one route combination, a team lines up and trips, then it moves the guy over. Just the absolute communication was a problem last year. That's the second assortment of things I'm going to get into over the next 2 weeks, guys. The third thing, I will account for the injuries and I will talk about it. I'm going to talk about the injuries, guys. It's going to be in there. It's got to be pointed out that it was a mitigating circumstance. I just don't think that it's an absolute excuse for what I saw on film. It wasn't like 2018. 2018, I can absolutely give people a pass for things because it was not an ideal situation. I can't give that pass for last year. I can't do it. The last thing I'll talk about in terms of the assortment of things I saw in the next 2 weeks, guys, I'm going to go in depth. I'm going to talk about individual limitations. And I'll give you guys some examples of some of the individual limitations I saw on film. Sidney Jones in zone coverage. Limited. Very limited. Rasul Douglas in single coverage with no safety help. Very scary. Some of these guys got better over the course of the year, but certainly there were limitations as you watched the season play out, guys. Ronald Darby playing the ball in the air. It wasn't just 1 or 2 games, guys. It was a systemic issue with Ronald Darby playing that football in the air. Ronald Darby is a frustrating person because there are not every play. There were times that he got beat on double moves, but there were plays to where he recovered nicely or he was just in perfect position. He did everything right except for play the ball in the air. And I can't explain it to you. I don't know how one, after this many years in the league, just can't play the ball in the air, but it kind of was a knock on him even back in college. It's continued with him all the way through, into his NFL career. He's certainly a little better playing the ball in the air in zone than he is in man. So for some weird reason, when he's in man coverage, guys, he just doesn't, he didn't play the ball well in the air. I'm kind of glad that headache's going to be gone, even though I think he had exceptional speed and it allowed him to recover for some of his limitations at times. But he got victimized early in the season, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. When I get to the Atlanta game and I start breaking down some of the film from Atlanta, they victimized. They specifically sought out Ronald Darby. And mind you, Rasul Douglas was starting in that game due to injuries. And yet, they sought out Ronald Darby. That's who they were targeting. with deep plays. As a matter of fact, Atlanta blew a couple of opportunities. I'm not going to lie to you. I saw 2 drop balls in the end zone alone in that game. Probably where they were a little off target, but there was an opportunity to catch them. So we kind of called a couple of breaks there, even though we lost the game ultimately anyways, but it's going to be out there, guys. It's going to be all out on film for y'all to see. I promise you. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to show you everything. Everything's going to be out there for you guys. I'll go through and I'll read some of the comments, guys. Philly Fresh, yo, Dat, Facts, bro, what's good, Philly Fresh? Von 2K, yo, what's good, man? Big Moose, what's good? Why Sway on Malcolm Jenkins' NFL breakdown, he said some of the new defense players didn't know what their assignments were, but yeah, I hear you. It's bigger than that. It wasn't just the new guys, man. Like even Malcolm Jenkins blew assignments. I'm going to be upfront. Malcolm Jenkins had miscommunications of his own, things that he was supposed to be responsible for, and he didn't pick it up. Malcolm Jenkins, look, why Sway? I'm a huge Malcolm Jenkins fan. I'm going to give him his just due. It's not like I'm just going to crap all over him, but there were miscommunications, and he did make a couple of spectacular plays. Like I'm not even going to front. I'm going to show you that last film segment when it's all about Malcolm Jenkins. I'm going to put it all out there so that we can have an open and honest discussion about the secondary. Is it better? Is it worse? Whatever. Like I'm going to put it out there for everyone to see it. So Big Moose said Markin Manuel is going to straighten those things out in the secondary. I hope. I always go about it. Big Moose, the way I always approach things is this: prove me wrong until otherwise proven. You know what I mean? Like you got to prove me wrong because I'm glad that we're not dealing with the exact same players. There's going to be some nuance to this season. Like we got some other guys coming in, but it is a lot of projection. I'm not going to front about it. Our secondary will have a lot of projection. Okay. I like Will Parks a lot. Will Parks is a guy that I'm really big on because I love his versatility. Nickell Robey-Coleman, I think, is going to be a difference maker in the slot. Darius Slay, I think, is going to make a huge impact. I don't know what to make of Trevor Williams because of the injuries, but I'm willing to give the kid a shot. Then you got Sidney Jones and you got Avante Maddox over there fighting to play, opposite of Slay. We'll see how it works out. There's some uncertainty in our secondary. I'm a little concerned with what we do in terms of depth at free safety, that rover positioning, because outside of Avante Maddox maybe playing kind of an in-between role, guys, I don't know, man. You guys are going to say, I don't know. We'll see. Romeo one more. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to scroll down. Romeo one more. What's up, Romeo one? How you doing, bro? Big Moose, yo. What up, Philly Fresh? Everybody seeing what's up? Paul 44. What's good, man? He lose focus as it comes down. Romy one. I don't know. Like I broke down film in the Miami game of him where I pointed that out, that he just doesn't play the ball well in the air. And I basically showed that Devontae Parker walk into the end zone play. It happened a lot, man. It happened too much for my liking. It happened way too many times. I don't know. I'm just glad that headache's gone. I really am. Vaughn 2K said he never even tried to look back for the ball. Even when he looked back for the ball, it was like he needed glasses. I don't know. I guess he couldn't see. I don't know. Philly Mike, what's good, Mike? That's my guy. He said Darby was our number one picked on corner. Laugh out loud. In the Atlanta game, they went right for him, man. I was shocked at what I was seeing. I was like, wow, they went right after Darby. Like, they're not playing. Like, they spotted it quick, and they wanted Darby. I live in Atlanta. I was at that game. Troy Singleton, maybe you give some perspective on what you saw being in the stands. Big communication issues in the Vikings game. Yeah, we got burnt on the same play like 3 times. Absolutely. They just straight up attacked our quarters covered. Jalen Williams, what's good, buddy? Yep, I remember to Ridley. Yep, Ridley drop one. They ran the same play twice. They did. The first was a drop, if I'm not mistaken. It was. And the second they scored on. They did. The kid out of ECU, Hardy ran the play the first time. Though Ridley ran I think the series before this one, right? And he dropped one. And then Hardy ran that same play, just barely missed it. And they went right back to it with Ridley a second time after Hardy and hit it in the end zone. Jalen, I'm telling you, man, it's frustrating to watch it, man. I've been dealing with this crap for 3 weeks, man, 3.5 weeks. Yeah, Romy One said there was mass communication issues, and it's like mad miscommunication issues going on. It was all over the place, man. Was Scandrick's right on Jenkins? I don't think so, Edwin. I think Scandrick is in a whole nother level of bullcrap, in my opinion. Scandrick's like, come on, man. The one thing I'll say about Malcolm Jenkins is even if my opinion changes on him throughout the course of doing this, the one thing I will say about him is this: he held that locker room together, man. He's part of the big reason we won the Super Bowl. He's a big reason for that. A big reason why we were able to rally in 2018, and a big reason we snuck our way into the playoffs last year. So you got to give him credit where credit's due. He's an incredible leader. So we got Wasteway said, okay, I'll look forward to watching it. It's going to be coming up, guys. It's going to be, like I said, this is part 1. So the way I plan on doing this, guys, is I'll do a live, I'll do a video. And then after I do a video, I'll hold another live so that way you guys can get some one-on-one time with me about what the video is stating, what it's saying. Video, you guys get what I'm saying? We'll kind of have a rhythm to it. Philly Fresh said he is not Darby, he's barbecue chicken. Laugh out loud, man. I'm telling you, Fresh, Atlanta was not joking, bro. They went right for him, man. Like, it was like 3 or 4 plays in a row they went after him. I was like, man, like, can we just roll coverage or something? Like, they're clearly targeting him. Weissway said, yeah, I remember that. I was like, it's the same play. Yeah, exactly. They ran the same play at him twice. Yeah, Troy said he got his ass whooped the whole game. He did, man. He really did. Jalen said, what up, Fresh? What up, Mike? When Jenkins mess up, he admits it too. He does. Jenkins is accountable. He's accountable for himself. It's going to be, like I said, guys, it's going to be a very complex issue, right? Because the issue being here is that we're not talking about just a one player for one player swap. We're talking about a one player for like 4 player swap, right? I mean, you could argue that K'Von Wallace would have been on the team whether Jenkins was here or not, but I don't know if that would be true. You got K'Von Wallace, you got Will Parks, you got Nickell Robey-Coleman, and you got Darius Slay. Then you can also add Trevor Williams if you really want to, as like a 5th guy, kind of. You could argue that maybe 1 or 2 of those guys would have been here no matter what, whether Jenkins was here or not. And I agree with you, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a much more complex issue. Why Sway said Scandrick is literally a locker room cancer. He was in Philly, man. He was absolutely a cancer here in Philadelphia. Romeo 1 said, so who is going to lead us in the secondary this year? Darius Slay is my opinion. Darius Slay will be the leader, I think. Sorry, guys, I need a drink. I think Darius Slay, and I think part of the reason they brought back Rodney McLeod was for that, to kind of help out with veteran leadership. Because we do have a lot of young guys. You can also look to a guy like Jalen Mills. I mean, we're assuming guys are making this roster. I mean, some of those guys we know are going to make the roster. I'm pretty confident McLeod's going to make the roster. I'm really confident that Slay will be here. But, we're assuming Jalen Mills doesn't get bumped out or something crazy. But I anticipate Jalen Mills clearly being here. So I think Jalen Mills, I think Rodney McLeod, I think guys like, Darius Slay is going to play a big role. I know Philly Fresh is a big believer that a guy like Avante Maddox could take a step up. I mean, hey, you got Avante Maddox out there, telling people on social media, you better be glad I went at that bar. I mean, hey, you got to give, I can't call him Mighty Mouse because that was Mark McMillan's, nickname, but you got Avante Maddox saying, hey, bro, you lucky I wasn't there with that Dallas Goedert sucker punch because stuff would have been different. I mean, hey, we'll have to see, man. Somebody's got to step up and be that leader, right? Somebody's got to step up and play that role. As simple as that. Let's see. Philly Fresh said, let's be real, though. Malcolm was getting slow. Remember, he got targeted by New Orleans. Yeah, but that was the year prior, Fresh. In 2018, he did. Last year, I thought he bailed us out, though, too, a few times, Philly. I'm going to be honest. There were a few plays to where he really bailed us out. Like, he got back and made some really, really good plays on the football. Troy, I'm sorry, man. I skipped over you for a second, man. Bro, I was so pissed after that game. Yeah, I was too, because the whole time I really thought like we were going to come back and win that football game. I mean, I really felt that way. Edwin said, I remember, I don't know what game was it, but he told Schwartz to simplify the defense. Pretty damn good advice, in my opinion. So who is going to lead? Okay, I read that one. Cardboard Carolina. What's up, LJ? How you doing, bro? Coconut 73. What's good, man? How you doing? guys, I, I I'm excited about what the secondary could be, but there's a lot of uncertainty. I'm not going to front. There's a crap ton of uncertainty. I really like Will Parks, guys, and I'm going to be honest with you. If you haven't had a chance, go back and look at the Will Parks game against Kansas City and look what he did to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill really only got his when he was not lined up on Will Parks. They moved him straight up away from Will Parks because Will Parks was shutting him down. I was impressed with the young man. If you can cover Tyreek Hill, whew, well, you really can keep up with foot speed, man. You can definitely keep up with foot speed and keep up with that guy. So Troy Singleton said, I hope Mills plays better at safety than he did at corner. I think, Troy, in my opinion, I think Jalen Mills is going to play like a hybrid kind of like nickel / safety kind of role. You'll definitely see him play some reps that'll be similar to Malcolm Jenkins. He's a good tackler. He's a very solid tackler. I think he's roughly as athletic as Malcolm Jenkins. You can make an argument maybe Malcolm's a little more athletic, but he does move. He moves across the field pretty well inside. When you put him inside, he does a really good job moving across the field. He makes it hard to throw on. I don't know if he has the same instincts that Malcolm does in terms of like, I'm going to break down some plays when we get to the Malcolm Jenkins question, guys, to where Malcolm was exceptional at reading things. He really had great anticipation of when to, like, oh, crap, my guy's stuck in the block. Boom, shoot the gap. I'm about to go get that quarterback. He was really good at that, guys. I mean, I got to give him his props for that because he definitely, like, kind of showed that instinct. Man. We're going to kind of miss that from him. But, you got Jalen Mills. You got, K'Von Wallace will mix in. It's not going to be right away. It's going to take time. He's probably going to play special teams early on. But he'll get his chances. He'll get his opportunities. And Will Parks is a guy that can thump, too, in the box. Jalen said, can Mills play McLeod free safety position in RD? Mills probably had the best ball skills in the secondary last year. Him or Douglas. I don't know what they're going to do with Rasul Douglas, Jalen. It doesn't look good for Rasul Douglas, in my opinion. He was asked to restructure a rookie contract. That can't be good, man. That just cannot be good when you're asked to restructure a rookie contract. I mean, I don't know, man. It wasn't to his benefit either. It was to his detriment in terms of the restructure. So I don't know, guys. I guess we'll see, man. I guess we'll see what happens there. The secondary do worry half as bad as the linebackers. Yeah, linebackers. I don't know which one's worse. Well, I do know which one's worse. Linebackers worse. I'm pretty certain. I think they both have uncertainty, but I agree that linebackers really kind of a mixed bag. I'll get into that after we cover the secondary over these next 2 weeks, guys. I'll take some time and dive into the linebacker position because, to be upfront and honest, I mean, it's a slow part of the season, guys. So we might as well dive in deep into some of these kind of like weird issues we got going on with the team and let's discuss them so that way we're ahead of the curve come camp and we know exactly what camp battles to be tuned in on. We know exactly like we can start scouting stuff real quick and be like, okay, like this looks okay, or like, oh boy, we're gonna have a problem here. That's my goal at least. Edwin said we put the defense out there too long last year. I think if we caught the ball, the defense would have rest. Edwin, we were pretty high up on time of possession, man. I think we were top 5 in time of possession. I don't know, man. I think you can say with some complexity to your point that there were times that we turned the ball over in certain games that really put the defense in a bad position. But the plays I'm going to be showing you, that's not what happened. The plays I'm going to be breaking down, Edwin, it won't be those type of situations and circumstances. I was talking about Douglas's ball skills. Yeah, Douglas to me looked really good in zone. I thought he read things pretty well in zone, Jalen. If I were the Eagles, the problem is we have so many slot corners. I just think that Douglas is a guy that probably could play your slot. He could be a big slot guy, big physical guy. You got to imagine you got guys like CeeDee Lamb that are big and strong. Getting a guy like Douglas, who's big and strong as well, could be beneficial. I thought he was much better on the inside than outside. I thought he was much better in zone than man. But I did think that you go back and you watch that Giants game, he held up in man coverage in the Giants game. Bird Gang 336 was good. Yeah, that's right. Wolfpack. I don't know, guys. I mean, Rasul Douglas is a mystery to me. I just, it's hard to really look at the secondary and say who the final roster spots will be because we got some rookies that some people feel should get serious consideration. And they're undrafted rookie free agents at that some people feel should get serious consideration for roster spots this year in the secondary. I don't know if it'll work out that way, guys, but there's definitely some people stepping up in the scouting world saying the Eagles had a pretty good undrafted rookie free agent class, even in the secondary. That we did a pretty good job bringing some of these guys in. I can tell you this, guys. I really hope we don't play too much quarters defense this upcoming year. Quarters was the one I thought it's where you found the most miscommunication occurring. We certainly had a couple of times when we were in cover 6 where miscommunication was occurring, but quarters was where it was at its worst, in my opinion. It was just ridiculous in quarters. Like, that's where and to be honest, it's like that across the league. Quarters defense, there's a reason why a lot of teams don't run quarters anymore. Because it's an incredibly difficult defense to actually run. Because you have to be really good at communication. Those guys have to have a lot of chemistry back there playing. It's just so easy to get a guy running across your face. You jump the route just a little too much, which opens up your part of the field, and then they pick you apart that way. So, I mean, it's a hard defense to play. I'm hoping that's not a defense we play too much, to be quite honest. What up, fellas? Dak is signed now. It's time to go get Adams. Good luck. 31 million, man. You might want to go check your cap space. I don't think you guys got the money right now. You'd have to restructure some people. Douglas is playing the wrong position. Troy Singleton. I will put him in, like I said, either at nickel. You give him a crack at safety, but I don't know what the Eagles are going to do. It'd be interesting, Troy. I would be interested to see if the Eagles will open up camp and just concede the fact that Douglas is not going to win on the outside, so either let him play the nickel or let him play safety. I would be interested to see him get reps there. I mean, in my opinion, if you need another corner, you're more likely to move Jalen Mills out there than you will to move Rasul. You know what I mean? Y2 Fly, what's good, buddy? Edwin said Douglas will be a good free safety, but the Eagles already gave up on him. My issue with Douglas playing free safety, guys, it's not his ball skills. It's not the way that he plays, in kind of like a zone type coverage scheme. I do wonder if Rasul Douglas has the foot speed to really play over the top. That's the only real concern I have sometimes with him is can he really get sideline to sideline and help out? I'm afraid that he might be just a split second too late on a lot of plays to really make an impact. But I mean, I think Rasul Douglas is a fairly good tackler. I think he's gotten better at it every year. He's got a little better at tackling. I think he's got pretty good instincts playing in his own. I just think, Rasul's biggest problem really is the athleticism. He's just not a fast guy. He just doesn't have a lot of foot speed. I mean, I like the kid. I wouldn't be opposed to giving the kid a crack at it. I'd much rather have him play safety than have him play outside personally. But yeah, I would agree that, Edwin, it doesn't look good if they make you restructure a rookie contract to take less money. Like, it's generally speaking not a good thing, right? I mean, it means that they feel pretty suspect about you. They don't really think you're worthy of anything, in my opinion, if they do that to you. Like, it means there's clearly a lack of confidence there. Cardboard Carolina. Well, Troy said he doesn't. I agree. Cardboard Carolina said, what do you think about no fans in the stand? I think it would suck in ways, but hey, it will be football. Yeah, little Jerry, same thing, bro. I mean, I'll take football any way I can get it. They said some stuff about, like, for the fan experience that they might pump music into the stadium to kind of simulate noise crowd and stuff just to make it, palatable for the fan. I wonder how it'll impact performance because you're really taking away some of the advantages of playing at home, right? I mean, it makes things maybe slightly easier for road teams. So I wonder if playing at home this year is going to be as big a deal if there's not fans in the stands, which, let's to be honest, I don't know that there will be. I mean, it could be, there might not be. Who knows? Hard to say. So Edwin said, with all the speed and versatility we drafted on defense on on the draft. Can't wait to see it. We are going to be really good. Yeah, we're going to be fast at least. We'll at least have foot speed. Tito Ruiz, you think our defense of scheme will change, and how will it be? How will it be different from past years? Sorry, guys, if I pause this because the screen jumps on me when I'm trying to read. Tito, an absolute scheme change? No. I do think that we could see a change in philosophy and coverage scheme. I think we're going to see a lot more man coverage this year than we did last year. Last year we were pretty heavy zone. I think this year we're going to be more man. I think we have the players to run man. I think that's what our strength will be. It'll be man. I mean, we'll still play some cover three. I mean, it's just cover three gives you the ability to gain the numbers in the box on running plays. So I still think you're going to see us run some cover three, but I do think you're going to see a lot more cover one and even some cover zero, I think. Harlem said, do you think Slay follows Coop in the slot? If so, who covers CD outside? That's the mismatch. Harlem, how do you know that's a mismatch, man? I mean, I like CD Lamb. I think CD Lamb has talent, Harlem, but he hasn't played it down in the NFL yet against NFL level talent at corner. He hasn't played a lot of man because look where he played. The Big 12 just doesn't play a lot of man coverage. Don't get me wrong, there's some good cornerbacks in the Big 12, but they just, Gladney was a very good cornerback. But they didn't play a lot of man there. They didn't play a lot of man, and they certainly weren't playing press on these guys. In terms of Slay going down into playing inside that slot area, I would be careful what you wish for, man. Will Parks can play outside. Jalen Mills can play outside. Avante Maddox can play outside. Now, I don't think that, I think where I would be scared with a guy like Avante Maddox covering CD Lamb is on the yak. It's not getting vertical. I don't think CD Lamb is athletic enough. I think Avante Maddox will abuse him if they try that. But I do think that on a little hitch or a little slant route or something like that, yeah, of course. But that's also, you can do things like you can bracket your coverage. You can bring down, there have been plays where they'll bring Rodney McLeod outside, believe it or not. That's something I'm going to show you guys is the versatility of some of our players. Rodney McLeod has actually played outside, and they've done some pretty unique bracket coverages with McLeod playing outside. I caught that on film from last year. I mean, we'll see how they match up, man. Cardboard Carolina said, you guys should watch a Football Life on YouTube. Watch the Dawkins one and Reggie White and Jerome Brown. Yeah, I've watched the Football Life before, LJ. It's pretty good. I think then they do one on Jerome Brown too, I thought, right? Oh yeah, you said Jerome Brown, duh. Never mind. So watching the film you broke down, was it more players not knowing where assignments or our defense coordinator calling bad defenses? So why sway? Here's the complexity I'm having with the issue you're bringing up. It's a lot of both. Both was going on. Sometimes it was individual limitations of the player. So coach is not putting the right players against the right teams, against the right coverage scheme, with the right coverage scheme, against the right, route concepts. That clearly was an issue. Sometimes it was communication. Other times, to be quite honest, I'm wondering how much of a role did our defensive backs coach play in helping designing the actual coverage scheme? I don't know if it's just Jim Schwartz, and I would think look, man, our secondary coach was a defensive coordinator, right? Our linebacker coach was. Our defensive, you know what I mean? Like, we had all these guys with coaching experience. Like, I would assume that Jim Schwartz had, was getting some input from these guys. They were probably contributing to the game plan. They were probably contributing to help them kind of match up to how Jim Schwartz likes to run his defense, to match those coverages. So I don't know who's really at fault for it, man. To me, if Markin Manuel comes in here and it seems that stuff starts to iron itself out, I got to put it back on our secondary coach last year. That's what it seems like to me, man. I saw a lot of issues with technique. Some of the technique was just highly flawed out of some of these players. A lot of these guys were getting beat bad on these double moves, man. I don't know why they were getting beat as bad as they were on the double moves, but yeah, man, they were. So Troy said, any guy can get football, I will take it. Sharon said, I feel the fans are going to show up anyway. Jalen said, when you get a chance, can you explain the pros and cons of run routes in the slot? What do you mean by run routes, Jalen, exactly? Like, you mean running routes in the slot, like the pros and the cons to like route running from the slot positioning? Romy One said, I still think whoever is back there in the secondary had to be put in the right situations by Schwartz. Yeah, that's a big part of it, man. Some of the coverages called last year we were in the wrong coverage, simply put. There were times to where what we showed them pre-snap would have been perfect, but what we did post-snap put us in a bad place. There were other times to where, give the offensive coordinator credit. The offensive coordinator must have clearly saw these coverage schemes on film and ran pretty damn good routes against those coverage schemes and beat us that way. I mean, I called it a couple times, guys, to where it seems like to me that they called us on a couple of them and straight up beat us. So Jalen, I'll start to answer what I think the question is. You just chime in, let me know if I'm missing it. But so running routes in the slot. A lot of times when you play the slot, it also depends on what they're going to do, guys. Like, so, if you're in the slot, depending on where your line, say if you're line tight, you might have to beat man press. The other thing about playing in the slot positioning is the spacing you have at times, right? Sometimes you can look at it and say, oh, you got a lot of space. The problem is, though, is when you work on your release, right? So when you see guys that release on the outside, watch their first 3 steps. You don't get that same benefit sometimes running in the slot, being able to have that same kind of release. So it's a little harder to set defensive backs up from the slot, right? In terms of the route not progression, is not the way I'm saying, but in terms of the stem, a lot of times when I watch guys play the slot, you run a lot of timing and rhythm routes. If you're not going vertical, it's a lot of timing and rhythm routes. If there's a lot of garbage in there, it can be by just really flawed scheme wise. So if you get an offensive coordinator that just is not thinking about the spacing on the receivers, you can have guys that are just completely getting in the way of the slot receiver and just causing a traffic jam inside. You see that a lot on some of the spread offenses at times. When I say spread offense, it's more the air raid. Sometimes on the air raid, you see that issue quite a bit. The slot can also face, it just depends. I mean, the slot can face a lot of racket coverage. You can have a linebacker that picks you up, might get his hands on you, might get physical. And then after you finally get released from them, you got a safety coming down, a nickel corner, whatever. It's a different form of route running. It's not quite the same as playing outside. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get some of the questions here. Is there a hope for Whiteside, cash face? Hope, sure. There's always hope. But I'll tell you this. If he does not develop this year, I think we're in trouble at the X receiver position. I think Jalen Reagor's natural position is a Z. I think he's a Z receiver. I think he's a flanker. He can play the X. I think he's strong enough to play the X, but I don't think that's his natural position. And I think he's a guy that you kind of want to be a guy that, think of he's not a Davante Adams type. He's way more athletic, way more explosive, but a guy like Davante Adams and Michael Thomas that can move all across the formation, right? Another way you can look at that is Amari Cooper is one of those type of guys that will move all around the formation to get a matchup. Mills was double move nightmare. Jalen said, running routes in the slot. Sorry, English is my third language behind gibberish. It's all good, man. Yeah. Like I said, man, it's a lot of tight. Sometimes you face much more tight coverage, not all the time, but sometimes you get a nickel cornerback in the slot, and you got 6 yards of space to operate with. But the windows in which you're playing in are different. You can get a lot more bump coverage, right? It's just different. It's a little more, in my opinion, it can be a little more physical, right? Sometimes, depending on the nature of the slot receiver, that slot receiver could also be a guy that's trying to give another guy a free release, right? It's just a different skill set, guys. Timing and rhythm is going to be really important because you're going to play a lot of timing and rhythm if you're not getting vertical from the slot. You're going to play with a lot of traffic. Playing across the middle and playing in traffic, guys, is not easy. It's not. I always found it easier to play outside, personally. I thought it was much easier to play outside. Would you rather have Sidney or Avante on the outside? I mean, Tito, in my opinion, the true answer to that is whoever's better, whoever wins the job. In ideal situation, I much rather have Sidney Jones play outside because Sidney Jones is more of an outside guy that can play slot because he's pretty good in man coverage. So, and slot as a slot guy, you're going to play a lot of man. You still play zone here and there in the slot. Don't get me wrong, but you play more man in the slot. I don't think Sidney has the ability to play over the top. Avante Maddox, I do think has the depth in the range and the athleticism to play free. It's just more so a matter of technique and tackling with him. If there's a guy streaking down the field, like he's got to be able to make that tackle. But to me, it's put him out there on the field. Whoever's the best player, let him play. They're both going to get reps. That's the way I look at it. You're going to have these guys moving all around by the matchups. Any guys have any questions or any comments about Trevor Williams? Do we got any big Trevor Williams fans in the house? I know Mike's he's a Trevor Williams guy. Mike was talking to me about Trevor Williams like probably February. I want to say might I don't know, somewhere in that area, guys. He had talked to me about Trevor Williams. Might have even been before that, to be honest with you. Might have been back in January. I don't know. It's been a while. I know that he was one of the first people I knew that was pretty high on Trevor Williams. He was definitely in my ear about him. Say, hey man, I think it's a sneaky good signing. Me, the only fear I have with Trevor Williams is health. I worry about Trevor Williams' health. At Cash, there was breakdown of Whiteside. He got open, but it took too long and Wentz had to extend the play. But I see hope for Whiteside. The way I look at it, Weissway and Cash face on Whiteside is we have Aaron Moorhead. It's going to be up to Aaron Moorhead to fix the problems. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Moorhead will be the key to this, in my opinion. If Aaron Moorhead can develop his route running, he'll be okay. Harlem Cowboy said Philly will never have a 1,000-yard wide receiver because Wentz throws to the tight end and running back a lot in Doug's system. Harlem, I think it was out of necessity. He threw a lot out of necessity the past 2 years to receivers, to tight ends and running backs. I think Wentz is naturally a down the field thrower. He wants to press the ball. I think the issue you have, I don't think you're wrong in the projection to say that it would be. I'm not going to say they never will, but it'll be difficult to have a 1,000-yard receiver at Philly just because of the way that Carson spreads the ball around. Carson, ideally wants to get it to, and that's part of the scheme too, because, Carson doesn't make the progressions. He gets to weigh in on the progressions and the reads. But obviously that's done in coordination with the, offensive coordinator. It's done in coordination with the quarterback coach and then your passing game coordinator. They all kind of work together to make those progressions and reads on the different route stems. At Tito Rio, sorry guys. Couldn't have murdered that any worse. Sid the kid all day. I mean, in an ideal situation, exactly. I'd rather have Sidney Jones. Cardboard Carolina said, what are your predictions of the NFC East and their wins and losses? I think Philly and Dallas are 10 to 11 win teams. I think both of them have the potential to be 10 to 11 win teams. I don't know that both of them will finish that way, but that's where the potential lies for both teams. I think Philly has the upper hand because I think there's more consistency with their coaching staff than they do in our, I don't think that we're in quite the same turmoil. Like the way turmoil bit us last year, it looks like it's kind of rearing its head right now in Dallas, although they just got Dak under contract. I still think, there's some hard feelings there. I would say the Giants have a pretty good offense. They got a pretty lousy defense. And I'll say the Redskins have a really good defense. They got a lot of question marks on offense. I think the Giants and the Redskins are both like 4 to 6 win teams. I don't think they're going to win more than that, in my opinion, Jerry. Jalen Williams said a Harlem Cowboy. That was because necessity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Romy One said he thinks Trevor Williams might start. If he's healthy, Williams will get the starting position heads down or hands down. I think is what he's saying. So Jalen said what made Trevor Williams such a good CB2 in San Diego was that he could be more aggressive because he had safety help or something else. I mean, we'll see how he plays in the system. Jalen, like I said, I mean, he's had some injury issues, and some guys they're not the same after those. And he didn't have he had a really good 2017. Before the injury in 2018, he was a little up and down, and then of course 2019 he just didn't play. So Philly Fan D said, honestly, I don't care about throwing 1,000 yards to a receiver. Spread the ball. Yeah, me too, man. Like he signed the so why Sway? I should clarify. He signed the franchise tag. He didn't sign a contract. He signed the franchise tag. But Philly Fan D, yeah, I agree, man. I'd rather be more effective than to worry about individual guys getting stats. At the end of the day, if we can get a first round bye, I'll take that over a guy having crazy stats. I mean, who cares about the stats if you're not putting yourself in position for a Super Bowl? So Tito said, Jalen, yeah, I'm leaning towards Sidney too. So guys that are in here, y'all tell me. CB2, we got some people said that they see Trevor Williams. We got Sidney Jones mentioned. What about Avante Maddox, Jalen Mills? You guys think Jalen Mills might get bounce back outside again? I don't think it's going to happen personally, except for here and there. But let me know what you guys think. For a nay, will we give Dallas? Would you give Dallas Hightower for a nay? Not without seeing the two. No, I mean both teams just drafted them, so no. I mean, if you're going to do that, you do that during the draft. You know what I mean? You don't do that after the draft, and you're not going to do it before they even get their rookie year in. So Philly, Mike said, spreading the ball around is what we did in 2017. Exactly, spread the ball around a lot in 2017, right? Guys, you guys have any question about the formats going to be coming up the next 2 weeks for any of this breakdown on the film? It's going to be coming up on our secondary. Do you guys want me to add something? So the 4 topics. I'm going to have lives to answer your questions, guys. But play calling and miscommunication is going to be number 1. Ronald Darby and Sidney Jones conversation will be 2. Additions of Slay, Robey-Coleman, Parks, K'Von Wallace, and Trevor Williams will be 3. And then 4 will be the question of Malcolm Jenkins. Would you guys like me to add a 5th topic? Like, do you guys want me to add a 5th topic, like who predicting CB2 to this conversation? I mean, because I'm probably going to cover the cornerback situation, and then I probably won't talk. I might have a video here and there about cornerbacks, but I probably won't talk about cornerbacks again extensively until training camp after I go through this series of videos over the next 2 weeks. So Wise Waste, I feel like one of the free agents going to be CB2. Well, that's really only Trevor Williams. Unless they plan on putting Parks out. A Parks breakdown. I can do another one, Jalen. I'll do a more extensive Parks breakdown. I did one already, Jalen, but I'll do like a much more extensive one. So where I'll break down the coverage he was used in. You know what I mean? I'll break down all that kind of stuff for you. Okay, yeah, I can do that one too. Yeah, he's definitely a guy I'm pretty high on as well, man. I like a few guys we got coming up, Jalen, to be honest with you, man. I like a lot of these undrafted rookie free agents for the Eagles in the corner, in the secondary. I just honestly think like some of these guys are going to ball out. All right, guys, I'll name you some of these undrafted rookie free agents. So Prince Smith is a kid out of New Hampshire. He's a fast speed guy, a lot of foot speed. Let me see. We all know who Rasul is. So you got Michael Jaquette, who's out of Louisiana Lafayette. He's the kid that's kind of built a little bit. He's kind of similar in his build, not necessarily his skill set and stuff like that, but Michael Jaquette's build is very similar to Rasul Douglas. 6'1", 200-pounder. He's got that kind of frame to him. Then you got Not Cre'Von LeBlanc. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 minute, and I'll pull up the other kid. Elijah Riley. Elijah Riley is a little tank. He's the kid out of Army. You guys haven't had a chance to go watch Army's film, guys. That was a top 5 pass defense. Army was. Elijah Riley is built like a little tank. He's like 5'11", 211. He played corner in the NFL, or I'm sorry, in college. Some people project him as a safety. Some people say slot. Other people think he can still play outside. I don't know. I mean, I got to see the kid play, but I can tell you this. I love that kid's physicality. He plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, guys, to be quite honest. I like what I saw of the kid. All right, I got a Parks breakdown. I got the Elijah Raleigh breakdown. Okay, let me add those guys. All right, guys. So I got the Parks and then Elijah Riley. All right, I can try to maybe even add them into a topic. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we'll do. Maybe I'll just do it like an. I don't know. We'll see. I can't. Parks, I can kind of focus on when I do the addition video, where I can make a separate video. I'll do a separate video for Parks. Well, I mean, Harlem, in any team, you have to single cover somebody, man. I mean, it'll be dependent upon the route. They're not going to do it probably by player as much as they'll do it by the route progression. It's going to be by the route tree. 11 personnel, you know, if you had your preference, you probably go single coverage on Michael Gallup because, you know, all due respect to Michael Gallup, man, he got shut down by Sidney Jones and man. Sidney shutting down last year. CeeDee Lamb, I mean, look, this is what I'll say, Harlem. I'm not saying that CeeDee Lamb won't be better than Cobb over the course of his career. In year one, he's not going to be a better player than Cobb was for you guys, in my opinion. Now, look, year 2, year 3, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what happens with the kid. I mean, the kid's got talent, but you know, Cobb's been in the league for a long time. He's been a productive guy. He understands the routes. He understands the nuance of route running. He's got, you know, experience playing these corners. CeeDee Lamb's never played these corners before. Well, some of the, you know, he might have played a couple of guys here and there in college, but the majority of these guys he's never played against before. All right, guys, I'm gonna ready to sign off. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm gonna start, like I said, I'm gonna start a video with play calling and miscommunication. So that's coming up. Appreciate y'all tuning in, guys. I got some of your suggestions written down, guys. I will try to update in the community tab. I'll even do some. I'll do some polls and stuff in the community tab this week. I kind of slacked on the poll stuff last week, so I'll build some stuff in there, guys. That way, there's a little more interaction this week. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. You know how we end these videos. We do a little EAGLES. Let's go, Eagles. Hey, Philly Fan D, man. Appreciate you too, bro. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.